Okay, so gotta figure out if we're live or just like kind of live. Okay, we're live. So hey everybody. All right, so I've never done a live before. So please bear with me. We'll get it together here in just a couple minutes. So I am trying to get a little fancy and share via Zoom. So is that my yes, okay. So I guess we'll just jump right on into it. I know most people are like, "Oh, let me wait," but I ain't got time to wait. We start the Zoom, right? Like we're getting ready for 2020. Are you guys excited? I guess I'll start off by saying thank you for joining me. And are you excited? Like, what are you most excited about? I am not even sure how to like view this video right now. I'm checking my phone to see if I can pull it up. Okay, cool. So I've got it pulled up. If you guys do say something, I can like see it down below. But so welcome. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll just jump right on into it. Thank you so much for, choosing you today, right? Because this is all about you. It's all about what you plan on doing for the next, year of your life. And hopefully you learn things that you can carry with you, like, throughout your life. This isn't something that like you can only do at the new year. You can wake up every single day and make the choice to like do something different. So I'm going to go ahead and get my screen shared. All righty. I'm sharing my screen. Can y'all see that? You can. Okay, cool. All right. So sorry I keep asking so many questions. I'm like, I don't know. All right. So we will go ahead and present. You guys just relax. Grab your coffee. I have mine, my little believer cup. I love it. And we're just gonna, see if I can make you guys some believers, right? So today we're gonna learn how to go from our dreams to our goals. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. But most importantly, like pat yourself on the back because you're choosing you right now. You're choosing to do something that's gonna like better yourself. So, for real, kudos to you. All right. So before we get started, just in case there's anybody watching who doesn't know me already, I think most of you guys are my family and friends, but if there's anybody here who doesn't know me already, here's a little bit about me. Back in 2012, I started working in the restoration industry. I did that for about 5 years. So here's just a random picture of me, 2015, just playing around at my job. And I'm sure you guys have seen this quote, whether you saw it here on the event page or you've seen it on my actual Facebook page. This quote has been on my Facebook page literally since the day I created Facebook. It's the quote that I live my life by. So it says basically, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And it took me a lot of years, but it was the one quote that like sparked the idea for me. So hopefully you'll find a quote here today that sparks it for you. So 2015, I like started to really process, what do I want to do with my life, right? And I started to like go to business conferences and just like read up on things. So this is me 2015 going to my very first ever conference. I went to Dave Ramsey's Entree Leadership, drove 3 hours just to be able to go to this one concert. And it was worth the trip because a couple, years later, you got to incubate and stuff. So a couple of years later, I did decide to, really put myself out there and I decided to be an entrepreneur. So in January 2017, I started selling little bears. They were $5 a piece, y'all. And I just want to pause right there to let you know it does not matter where you start. You don't have to come out with like, oh, I need to make $1 million, right? Like I think we all want that. Actually, everybody wants that. But we don't start with $1 million, right? Like you might start with $5, or maybe you start with $1, and then you have to like kind of build up to that. So I started January, selling $5 bears. By October, I had made this my full-time income. I was selling chairs, t-shirts. I had $15 chairs, $25 t-shirts, and I was just working up my little, my prices, right? And everything was great. I was literally living the life of my dreams. And then this day in 2017, everything stopped for me. I literally lost everything. So I set up this little tent event, went out there with like my little confidence, and I was like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna like sell live in person, it's gonna be like awesome, right? And it was great, until I had to go restock. And then when I went to restock, well, I made the mistake of asking a stranger to do me a favor, and well, you shouldn't always do that. So I ended up losing everything. I got robbed. They stole all of my equipment, all my supplies, everything, and I did not have a backup plan. So I ended up living in my car. So I'm sure, again, if you guys are my friends, you've probably seen this photo here on my Facebook page for years now. Actually, this year was the first year that I changed it. I had it up for several years, mainly because it's a constant reminder to myself of how bad life can really get, and the fact that even when it's bad, you still gotta wake up. Okay, like you can't just decide not to show up today. Guess what? You cannot show up, but your body will be here. All right. So this is when I literally and figuratively reached the end of the road. I had gotten in my little red car, a little $100 car. That's a whole nother story. But I had gotten in my little car one day and said, you know what, I need to go like for a drive. I'm living in my car, but I still wanted to go for a drive. And I ended up at this place, and it literally was the end of the road for me. It was the place. Oops. It's like I can hear my reverb. Sorry. But like I ended up like at the end of the road. Like I had to like start all over. I had to figure it out. I had no more dreams. I had no more visions. I questioned everything. I had lost everything. My daughter, I'm a single mom. I had like, been taking care of my daughter, like, her whole life. She had to go live with her dad. It was bad, y'all. It was really bad. And I went inside and I grieved. And that's about all I can say is that, I had to learn in that moment that it was okay not to be okay. So if that's where you're at right now, I just want you to understand. I have to like move this down. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Not trying to get distracted. But yeah, because it keeps like popping up on me. But yeah, I had to learn, like, it's okay not to be okay. And I also had to realize, like I said, that I'm still going to wake up every day. Like I have to make the choice. Like, is today the day that like I end it? Right? Like, is that who I'm going to be? Am I going to be known for that? Or maybe unknown because I did that. Right. Or am I going to actually go and like, start all over again? Because when you're living in your car and you wake up every day to the view of literally the end of the road in a river, you have to make a choice. So I did that for about 3 months. I spent, I read books. I really got into like YouTube and watching, people empowering and how you could like turn your life around, become a business owner. And I just really, really just started to like delve into my craft. But I was broke and I was homeless. So in 2018, I moved back to my hometown. And like I said, I spent a lot of time grieving. So I know where everybody's at. Like, I see the posts, when you're just like, this wasn't my year. Like, this year was really hard. I've been there. I've had numerous years that were just like, the whole hurricane came and it tore everything up. And then like when it was gone, but I was still standing. I was still there. And I had to stand in the rubble and in the mess of like my life. And the most beautiful thing about everything falling apart is that you really get to decide how you put yourself back together again. So you can decide to sit there in that mess for as long as you want. Let me tell you, okay, I'm not here today to tell you to get up and go do it right now. If you're not ready for that, that's okay. It is okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be ready. But when you are ready, when you have decided, you get to decide, you get to choose, what am I going to do? What is that thing that I'm going to use my life for to leave my mark? I've decided for me personally that I wanted to rebuild my life in a way that would inspire and impact people so that they could be sparked. Hopefully you guys are sparked to go out there and find their dreams and live your lives and impact, whatever way you want to. We're all different. So, just use your destruction, right? To think about how you want to rise from those ashes, because at the end of the day, you only have two choices. You can either stay in the ashes or you can start picking up the pieces, clean up and rise. There really isn't any other option. So it's easier to pick up the pieces, I promise. All right, so the reason why we're all here today is in late 2018. So I spent the whole year 2018 grieving. I was boohoo crying. I was deeply depressed. I hated life. I hated everybody. I questioned my faith. Like everything just sucked. Okay, 2018 was like my 2020, right? And then at the end of 2018, my friend Paris, who shout out to Paris, I don't know if she's watching. I can't see any of the comments. So if you guys are commenting, I can't see you. But anyway, yeah. So shout out to Paris because she sent me a little message one day and she was just like, hey, we're doing this little vision board event and I'd love for you to come. And I was just like, you know what? I've never made a vision board. I don't really know what a vision board is, but your girl has lost her vision, right? Like it was gone. So I figured, why not? I went and put together a whole bunch of like images and stuff, and we'll get into that, as we go on. And this right here is the vision board that popped out. And again, it was my first one. I had no idea. So what you see here is my mind on paper in a way that is displayed. And as you can see, my mind's a mess, y'all. We got a lot of stuff going on up here. And that's the point. That really is. That's why you need a vision board, because you have to take all of that jumbled stuff that's in your mind and you got to throw it out there on the paper so that you can see it. And then you can look at it and say, do I even want that? Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's things on this board that I got into them, but I decided after a while, I didn't really even want them. So, and you do have the freedom and the ability to do that, especially when you're living your life intentionally. So that's my first vision board. The whole purpose of this workshop is to teach you guys that you can, literally crush your dreams. So this is me 4 years later. Hi, welcome to 2022/23. And I'm living my best life, right? Like I'm not the richest person in the world. I don't have like all the nicest stuff. To me, living my best life isn't that, right? To me, living my best life is living courageously. It's living without fear. It's living in total freedom that I get to create the story. I get to write the life that I want. So at one point I wanted to have a creative printing business. So I did that and I ended up being a bestseller on Etsy. I actually had 2 products on Etsy that were bestsellers. I decided that I wanted to face my fear, my biggest fear is dying of drowning, even though I love the water. People would never know that about me. They'd be like, what are you talking about? And so I got scuba diving certified, because it helped me to face that fear, the fear of dying, because guess what? We're all going, okay? For you, it might be this year, for me, it might be 50 more years from now. Who knows? We don't know, so get out there, crush your goals. Anything is possible, okay? You can do anything that you believe. And I hope that me sharing my story and showing you guys that I started from literally absolutely nothing. And I just worked my little tail off for the past 4 years, laser focused on my visions and my goals. And if it wasn't goal oriented, I just wasn't about it. And it wasn't anything against anybody else, but it was because I believed, I truly believe still to this day, this right here is me acting and operating in my belief that all things are possible as long as you believe. And I'm just going to add the little caveat there that faith without works is dead. So the reason why we're having this workshop right here is because I don't want y'all to go out there and say, you know what? I believe I could fly, right? Or let's say something a little semi more realistic. I believe that, I can have a successful business. Yes, you absolutely can have a successful business. You can do whatever you want. And maybe you don't even want to have a business. Maybe you just want to be a stay-at-home mom. Maybe you just want to be the best freaking mom that you could be. Or, stay-at-home dads, because that's a thing too. I don't want to exclude anybody. But, you can do all of that, but you have to work towards it. You're not going to wake up today being that best version of yourself. It's just not possible. You have to wake up every single day, and then eventually you're going to be, the person that you want to be. So I'm going to take a minute and, ask you guys so I can check the little chat over here. Because again, I'm not used to this whole Facebook Live thing. So I don't know, maybe nobody's even there. We'll see. But ask you guys, what are you dreaming about for 2023? Do you want to upgrade your house? You want a nicer house? Do you want a better relationship with your family? What is it that you're trying to have and accomplish coming into 2023. So go ahead and like drop in the chat if you're here, if there's anybody here, just kind of let me know. Oh, you're welcome, Kyla. I'm so happy to host. This is a dream of mine. I wanted to find a way to help people for a long time. So I'm super happy to be here and to be doing it, to finally have the courage to do it. Because let's be honest, courage and confidence, they're hard to come by. So, all right. Well, I don't see anybody else in the chat, so we'll just kind of keep moving forward. All right. So next thing, we're thinking about our dreams and, what we want to be and how we want to be, what we want to, like, where do you see yourself? This is a limitless thing. Do not limit yourself by where you are now or what the people around you have told you. Okay. If I listen to the people around me, I wouldn't be here right now. Okay. Because the people around me, well, they're negative. Okay. They don't know sunshine. And that's about all I got to say about that. So, don't listen to everybody else. What is your best version of yourself? Your mama wanted you to grow up to be a doctor, lawyer, nurse. Cool, mom. Cool, mom. I'm glad you wanted that for me. But this is what I want for myself. Answer that question for yourself. Because when you're dreaming, we can't dream for other people. We get one life. You got this one body right here. Okay. You can live your life for your mama, for your daddy, your sister, your wife, your girlfriend, your kids. You can do that, but it's not going to bring you fulfillment. And it's also going to rob the world of the gift that you have, right? God didn't make you your daughter. He didn't make your mama you know what I mean? Like he put that stuff into you so that you could then translate that and put it back out into the world and to give the world the gift of yourself, right? So when people unwrap the package of you, what is it you want them to get, right? So just imagine, what does your best self look like? And our ideas of our best self, it's probably going to change every day or, over time, because as you start to learn and grow and, peel back the onion, your idea of who you really want to be and the things you want to achieve, like it will change and that's okay. So, all right. So once you've thought about your dreams and, who you want to be, like what your best self looks like, my question to you, like the very first question is like, how do we get there? Right? Because, you could be on 123 Hope Street wishing hard in nowhere, America, and you're not going to get there, right? I see a lot of people talking about, and I'm going to go ahead and throw the elephant out in the room, manifestation. Okay. They're like, oh, I'm manifesting my dream. Maybe you are. Maybe, but more than likely you're working towards your dreams. More than likely you're attracting into you the things that are going to help facilitate your dreams. So when we talk about manifestation, if all you're doing is hoping and wishing, remember what I said earlier, faith without works is dead. So while you're manifesting, make sure you put a little bit of work with that, okay? And plan ahead. I don't get in my car to go out of town without a destination in mind. That's cool. I have done that. I did that back in my 20s and it was a lot of fun. But now here in my 30s, I need to know where we're going. I need to know what time we're going to get there. I need to know, is it going to be a rest stop along the way? Are we in a hotel? Because my body cannot sit in this car for 20 hours. Okay. I need to know, how do we plan to get there? So the next question you should ask yourself after you've dreamed your dreams, and you've thought about it, how do you plan on actually getting there? And I'm hoping that this workshop will kind of teach you a little bit. And I planned on stopping at certain points to check comments, but every time I try to check, it doesn't work. So we'll just move on. Okay, so this is one of my favorite pictures. I took this, on one of my drives one day, living in my car. And it really just, it hit like this, it'll do road. Where does, what does life look like when you don't have any goals? Right? Let's think about that for a real second. Like, and again, you don't have to be trying to achieve anything, but maybe your goal is just to pay your bills, right? What does life look like with no goals? I'm pretty sure it's going to look like it'll do road. It's not going to be what you want. It's just going to be what you're willing to settle for. And that's just what you're going to get when you take the easy road. When you don't live life intentionally, when you don't strategize, The only destination is It'll Do Road. Okay. And I don't know about you, but I want to live on Shining Street or like, Millionaire Lane. I'm not really trying to stay on It'll Do Road. I mean, I did at one point. I did. But I don't want to stay there anymore. And hopefully you don't either. Like if you're watching this, it's probably because you're tired of being on It'll Do Road. You are like ready to make that change. So let's help you make the change. Okay. And let's push on forward. So I just kind of talked about taking the easy road, and this is like one of my favorite quotes ever. And I love quotes because, like I said, like I felt the first time I felt a real spark of inspiration was from a quote, and that's a quote that I've still been trying to dissect here a decade plus later. But this one right here is like, if you keep taking the easy road, life will become harder. It will. So if you're like, oh, it's easier for me to do this now. Yes, right now it is easier. But if 2020 taught us anything, right? When life is hard, that easy road is probably not going to cut it, because what you were able to get away with down here, okay, and the It'll Do road you were on right here, life is coming. All right. And life is going like this, right? And if you stayed on It'll Do road, eventually it's going to get hard for you just to make, break even or even survive, right? And that's what we saw happen to a lot of people. There was so much stuff that came, and if honestly, if I hadn't gone through what I went through in 2018, where I had already lost everything, I probably would have, lost it all again in 2020, so let's think about that. Yeah, change is hard. Change is hard. I can sit here with this smile on my face and I can say, yeah, let's do it. But at the end of the day, you have to make that choice. And that choice is hard. It is hard. It is hard. It is hard. Okay. So you can do it. But if you make the hard choice now, invest now. The best example that I could give you is like, let's say you're working at a job and you're making $35 an hour, right? Well, that's some good money right now. Right now. So you stay at that job making $35 an hour for the next 10 years, right? I don't know what the math is on that, but I'm sure you're going to do pretty well, over 10 years. And I'm sure you'll look back and you'll be like, yeah, I did that, but I want to challenge you. Maybe that is It'll Do road. Maybe instead of taking that, high paying job or whatever, maybe you invest in yourself. Maybe you go to some conferences. Maybe you learn some things. Maybe you gain some new skills. Maybe, increase your marketability, right? Increase your value, as people would say. And then re-enter the market maybe a year, 2 years later. And instead of being able to ask for 35, now you can ask for 100. Maybe you can even ask for $200 an hour. And I would much rather make $200 an hour for the next 8 years than to make $35 an hour for the next 10 years. Did the 35 sound great at first? Yep. Of course, money's money, y'all. But the goal is not to stay the same for the next decade. The goal is to plan your life today, that you can wake up from a decade from now and be like, wow, I'm here. I'm here. I actually did this. I made it. And it was on purpose. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you won't have that moment unless you live on purpose. So stop taking the easy road. Okay. Yes, it's easy for a reason. Everybody is on that highway. Take a little bit of a detour. Be willing to have it take a little bit longer. Be willing to work a little harder for it. And you're going to end up with something a lot more substantial in the end. So my whole purpose here, aside from talking a lot, is to teach you guys how to shorten your goal. It took me almost 5 years, right? Like, so I lost everything in 2017. We're walking into 2023. It took me 5 years to get my life back together, to figure out how to really plan goals, how to take those wild, crazy dreams I had in my head and actually ground them and bring them down to earth, right? And so I want to save you guys the time and the trouble and the anxiety of 5 years, right? It doesn't need to take that long. If you know the formula, if you know how to get there, you can get there in a year, right? So hopefully this video saves you 4 years of your life, maybe even more. Who knows? Maybe if it just saves you a couple minutes, it was worth the time, right? So let's go ahead and get to it. If you've gotten any value out of this so far, if you like it, feel free to share. I'm not really good at marketing. It's on my list of things to learn. So, feel feel free to share and please comment, I can't see them now, but it would just make my heart feel happy to know that you guys are getting value out of it. Hopefully you are. Okay, so first things first, here is the map, so to speak, the creative process. So first thing you want to do, you want to dream. We got to prepare. We got to throw it all out there, as they would say. You could do like the everything with the kitchen sink, right? You put all of your ideas out there, right? And then you sit on them. You incubate, okay? I incubated for about a decade. No exaggeration, to get to this particular moment right here. Sometimes you will have a really short incubation period. Maybe it might be a day or 2 days, think of like a butterfly in its cocoon and how it has to go through a transformation process in order for it to really come out and show, its true beauty into the world, right? So your incubation period for our purposes for the vision board workshop is going to be 1 week. We're going to meet today, do this, and then 1 week from now, we're going to come back together and we're going to actually put our boards together. But your actual incubation for these goals, for these dreams, could be much longer. So, enjoy the journey. So yeah, we're going to prepare today. Then you guys are going to incubate over the next 7 days. And then we are going to come back next Saturday and we are just going to light ourselves up, okay? Because there is nothing that lights somebody up like thinking about their hopes and their dreams. And when I tell you that your dreams can come true, they really, really can. So I hope to see you guys again here next week. And without further ado, let's get into the content. All right, so how to go from dreaming to actually doing. We all start off here. Every last one of us, we all start in the same place. I don't care if you're rich, poor, black, white, ugly, anyway, we all start in the same place with I really want that. We all start with an idea, right? And then the goal is to go to I did that, where we've actually achieved something. So what is an idea? A dream is an idea. We all dream, every last one of us. So even the cranky old man, the guy who's always got something negative to say, he's got a dream. All right. So be nice to him too, right? We all have dreams. It doesn't matter, young, old. You will never get too old to dream or to want more. It doesn't matter how much you have. You'll always want more. And that's, the thing that we, some of us have to fight against. But having and wanting things, there's nothing wrong with that. We literally were created to dream. We were created in the image of our creator to be creative. It's literally the self-fulfilling prophecy there. So that's what a dream is. But I think we all know what a dream is, but what I don't think we all know is what a real goal is. Okay. So a goal is something specific, okay? It's not just this grand idea way out floating in space, or like as my old boss would call it, it's not pie in the sky, okay? This is something that you have really thought about and you are saying, I want to do this specific thing by this time, and this is how I plan to get there, right? And it could be a big gap. You could have a huge gap between where your dreams are and where your goals are. It could be a wide gap, or it could be really small, and that's kind of part of the vision and creating your vision board, is to be able to identify, that gap and what you need to do in order to go from one way to the next way. So real quick, just to kind of give you guys something to ground it with, when you're saying your dreams, like for instance, me, one of my dreams is I want to travel the world. I actually want to travel the world in a sailboat. So I'm even more specific with my dreams because, apparently I don't like the comfort life. No, just I really want a nice sailboat though. But yeah, I want to travel. However, in order for me to travel the world, I'm going to need to get a passport. So to break down my dream, I'm going to just pick the very first thing I need to do, or, the smallest, the easiest thing that I could do, right? Within the side of that big dream. And so I would say, hey, I want to apply for my passport before the end of January. So it's a very specific action. It's a bite-sized action. And it has a date attached to it. You don't want to put in here some big grand, plan a trip to Paris. No, plan a trip to Paris may be the ultimate goal, but there's a lot of little bite-sized goals that go inside of plan a trip to Paris. So same thing for the rest of these. So into 2022 this year, I decided, I'm really going to make a difference. So I decided to share one uplifting post per day for 90 days. Did it make a difference? It made a difference for me. And I hope it made a difference for other people. I really hope that one of those posts sparked something in somebody. But that was me taking my dream that I want to make a difference and putting it into an actionable, attainable goal, something I could actually do. Because I could make a difference by going out there and saving all the children, right? Or adopting all the pets out there. I could totally do that. Not that's not an attainable dream for me right now. Or I'm sorry, it's not an attainable goal for me right now. It is most definitely an attainable. Well, I don't know about all the children or all the pets, but some of the children, maybe, and some of the pets. I already have several of the pets. But anyway, getting off track. The purpose of this is to make sure you break it down into something you can actually do. Now, can you actually do it right now in this moment? Maybe not. But if you were to work hard, put forth a little effort, you would be able to do it. That is what we would consider a reasonable, actionable goal. All right, so we've got our 2023 goal floating. I hope your little minds are turning and your juices are flowing, because this is the part that makes me the most excited. All right, so here are the 5 golden rules of goal setting by yours truly, Marcina Marie. So rule number 1, right, is make sure you set goals that make you want to jump out of bed in the morning. Okay. And I do mean jump out of bed. All right. So I see posts every single day where people are all like, oh, I can't believe it's Monday. Oh my God, tomorrow's going to be Monday. I don't want to go to work. Oh, it's only Wednesday. Look, if that's your life, babe, I need you to make a change. Okay. And not only do I need you to make a change, I need you to make a change, because if you are that unhappy with your life every single day, something you are doing is just not working. Okay. And that's fine. That's fine. But we need to make sure that when we set these goals this time, that we are setting goals that make us excited. Okay. I would have never been able to put this together or make all of those posts for 90 days if I hadn't been excited to do it every day. You got to find that thing that just it sets you on fire. And when you do, it's not work. You're still working, but it's not work. So make sure that you're setting goals that set you on fire. I mentioned it earlier. These are not your mama's goals, your daddy's goals. They ain't for your sister, your brother, they ain't for nobody but you. So if it sets your mama on fire that you might be a nurse one day, but it makes you miserable, you really need to rethink your path in life. Okay. And that's just, I'm saying that out of love, because your mama ain't finna live, breathe, and die with you. All right. She might be a little disappointed, but she'll get over it, boo-boo. You go follow your dreams, find your passion. Okay. Because God put something inside of you that only you can release to the world. And so we need you to get out of bed on fire every day so you can release that thing to us. Okay. I'm waiting. I am actively waiting on you. Seriously though. I love to see other people living in their dreams. All right. So tip number 2 is don't be afraid of failure. Be afraid of being in the same place forever. I will say, people have told me over the years, oh, you're so courageous. I'm like, no, not really. I am just more afraid of staying the same than I am of failing. Okay. It terrifies me to think that I will wake up 10 years from now and be the same. It absolutely terrified me. And now with the person I am now, 10 years from now being the same, I don't know, maybe, but 10 years ago, oh, I didn't want to be her. I did not want to be her anymore. We were not happy. Okay. So I made the choice that I was going to choose which fear was bigger. Okay. So for me, the fear of staying the same was bigger than the fear of failure. It was bigger than the fear of change. Whatever is the biggest fear in your life will win. So if your biggest fear is falling flat on your face in front of millions of people, well, guess what? You're never going to try it, right? Because you've already let that big fear win. Whereas for me, my biggest fear isn't falling flat on my face. There could be one of you guys here. There could be 10 of you guys here. I'm not, to me, the quantity isn't necessarily important. For me, I am succeeding right now because I am doing it, y'all. I am feeling the fear, which, by the way, I am terrified. Absolutely terrified. I wanted to puke right before I went on live. This is so far outside of my comfort zone, but But again, we're doing it because I'm not going to be afraid to fail. I'm going to make sure that I'm not in the same place forever. And I just noticed that's a typo, but whatever. This is an original quote, by the way. Okay, so talking about comfort zones and things like that, this is where we all dream. We all dream inside of our comfort zone because you don't have to do anything to dream. You can sit here right now as you listen to me and start dreaming about the future and about the things that you want to achieve inside of your comfort zone. The moment though that you decide to take pen to paper or to actually go out there and do an action, or maybe even just to write a comment here, right? Like I felt fear before, like, oh, I don't know if I should post that, or hey, I probably shouldn't comment that or whatever, right? Stop it, you guys, because fear is part of the process. Okay. I wish somebody had told me this a lot sooner because it probably would have saved me a lot of internal struggles if I had realized I'm going to be afraid. Because the first place you go when you come outside of your comfort zone is into the fear zone. You start making excuses. You start saying that you're not good enough. You might suffer from imposter syndrome, worry about what others are going to say. I lived in this fear zone for an embarrassing amount of years. An embarrassing amount of years, because I really thought that what other people had to say about me in my life would make a difference. And then I realized when I was homeless, sleeping in my car, and absolutely nobody was calling my phone and nobody was trying to make a difference in my life. I realized that what other people said didn't matter because they weren't going to be the ones to pull me up out of that cave. I had to do that for myself. What other people said wasn't going to save me, right? I had to get up and I had to decide it doesn't matter what other people say. It doesn't matter whether or not I feel like an imposter. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to own it and I'm going to do it anyway, right? And I did enough of the fear zone to finally, when I was living in my car, I started entering into the learning zone. That's when I started going on to YouTube. I started being a lot more intentional with the things that I was watching and consuming. I don't watch regular TV anymore. I see people talking about, oh, this show and that show. I don't know about any of those shows. I can't tell you who any of the current celebrities are. I don't know, a rapper, R&B star. I don't even think they do R&B anymore. Okay. Because I'm intentional about how I spend my time. My eyes are important to me. My ears are important to me. So I don't allow access in to my vision or in through my mind, i.e. my ears and my eyes, the things that I am not advocating for, things that are not in alignment with me. So I spent time in the learning zone instead of watching that, favorite TV show, instead of picking up Grace. I did used to love me some Grace and House and all kinds of stuff. There's nothing wrong with TV. But if you're trying to move past the fear zone and get out of your comfort zone, you probably want to turn off the TV or be more intentional about what you are watching so you can start to build skills and then go out there and do something about it, right? Like this right here is going out there and doing something. I may make all kinds of mistakes. I'm probably already offended like all the people that watch this video, right? But that's okay because at least I'm in my learning zone and I'm dealing with the challenges and I'm making the mistakes. And you know what? After the end of this video, guess what? I'm going to feel more confident. I already feel more confident. I guess we've been going for about 30 minutes now, and I already feel like a lot less nervous than I felt at the beginning of this. And that's the thing. It happens like that every time. There's no mystery here. Okay. I want you to understand that every time you will leave your fear zone or you'll leave your comfort zone, you will enter into your fear zone. You will go into your learning zone and you will feel more confident by the time you are done with your learning zone in that particular topic. And then the fun stuff begins because once you've learned something, now you can grow and you can build upon it. You can add to the foundation. You can set new goals. You can master your skills and you can really start to expand and achieve, right? Now there's a lot of boxes here because it's a process. It really is. And I did start off by saying I spent years over here. Okay. And I've spent years over here. I'm just now entering into this one in some areas of my life. So, just keep that in mind. There's no rush, pace yourself. But all of this is a part of the process and you cannot skip the process. So, if you want to make your dreams come true, look at this graphic and set up professional audio and audio settings. Look at this graphic and get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable. All right. So my next tip, and this is the reason we're here is so I can help teach you guys how to really visualize it. You gotta see it to believe it. Okay. You have to see it Professional athletes, they talk about this all the time. They sit there before the games and they meditate, right? Meditating is nothing but sitting there with your thoughts and zero distractions. All right. So you don't have to go, there's no kumbaya. It is just, how do you feel about you? Right. So take some time to sit down in a quiet space with nobody around and just think about it. Like, so if you're like, oh, I want to be on Oprah right one day, visualize yourself on Oprah. Sit there and visualize you talking to freaking Oprah, which, by the way, that's one of my goals. So, hey, Oprah, I'm just playing. But if I'm not playing at all. I would totally love to do that, right? And I visualize that in my head. I've actually even asked myself questions and gone through the whole freaking conversation with me and Oprah, right? Because that is one of my dreams. Your dreams may look completely different. They probably do. Actually, I'm sure not everybody wants to meet Oprah. You can tell I'm a 90s baby. But yeah, so visualize it, see it from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. How's it gonna feel? That's the big one. It's not enough to just have a picture in your mind, but how does it feel? Like when you're sitting there and you're thinking about it and you're just like, that. You have to create that in your mind. You have to create that feeling of success, that feeling of celebration, that feeling of joy in order for it to happen. Because, it's going to become a thought and then it's going to become an action. And your actions are always tied to your emotions. So if while you're sitting there dreaming your dream, your emotion is, oh, this isn't going to happen. This is stupid. I don't know why I'm doing it. Don't bother. Don't bother. If you're not going to give yourself permission to really get in there inside of your own head and say, what do I want to do? Like, hey, Sally, like what are we going to do this year? Sally Sue, I refer to everybody as Sally Sue. So, you sit there with your Sally self and you're like, I need to do X, Y, and Z, and really take the time to visualize it. There's no time limit on this activity and it's just for fun. You could do it whenever you want. Most people would call this daydreaming, right? But you can literally do it whenever you want. I visualize every single morning. Every single morning, I have a set routine, and part of my routine is to visualize my day. I'm not walking out. I'm not putting my feet on the freaking ground until I have seen the end of my day. And now that is an extreme form of visualization. You know what I mean? But if you could just visualize, like say, hey, today you want to like get yourself out of your funk, right? Because I've been there. I have been there where it's like, dude, I can't even shower today. Like that's, what do you mean visualize? Like I can barely take a shower. So visualize yourself getting up and taking a shower. Visualize yourself changing your clothes. You probably haven't left the bed yet, but just think about you doing that. And then your mind is going to start to want to do that. And as you think about doing it, think about how you feel while you're taking a shower. I know me, when I'm in the shower, I'm like, oh, this is amazing, right? So think about how good it's going to feel when you take a shower. And then I bet you by the end of today, you took a shower. Maybe you didn't take a shower for 5 days. Trust me. I've been there. No judgment. Okay. No judgment. We can't smell you through the internet. Whatever you do though, however you visualize, shoot for the moon. Okay. You cannot dream too big. In fact, I'm here today because my last dream, it was too small. I ran out of dreams and I achieved the things I wanted. And now I'm back at the beginning trying to say, what do I want to dream? Because I was scared. I was living in my fear zone and I was too afraid to ask for the things I really wanted. I was too afraid to dream really big of the things I really, really wanted. So I just dreamed little dreams. And that was fine. Those little dreams got me here and that's amazing. So start where you are. I will just say, don't be afraid to go big. Okay. Shoot for the moon. If you want to be a millionaire, dream about that. If you want to, change lives, if you, want to travel the world, if you just want to, I don't know, lose weight and inspire other people to do the same, whatever it is that is your thing, dream big. I will just say right here, not every one of us is like meant to like motivate and inspire everybody, but we all have something that only we can do. And I know I've said this already, but I'm just going to keep saying it. All right. Whatever lights your heart on fire, that's your thing. I spent years wondering, what's my purpose? What should I be doing? And then I woke up one day and realized, girl, you're already living in your purpose. You are already doing the things that set your heart on fire. Now you just need to find a way to do it bigger and better, right? So like literally dreams, your heart's desire. There's a Bible verse that talks about, I will put the desires of your heart inside of you, right? I'm sure that's a misquote, but whatever, y'all get what I'm saying. Those are gifts from God. Those are visions from God. God is telling you that, hey, this is what I have in store for you. If you can believe it, you can achieve it, right? Obviously within attainability. So speaking of within attainability, right? You would think I practiced this presentation before, but I didn't. This is like totally, I just finished putting this together a couple hours ago. So he gave me. Anyway, so when you are setting your goals, tip number 4 is to make sure you make smart goals. Okay. There's no point in you hoping and wishing and dreaming and making goals that are not going to come through. Most of the time when people are like, oh, I'm going to do this for the new year, this is my New Year's resolution, they don't do it. We've all been there, okay? Every last one of us has had great intentions on January 1st, and by January 5th, we are out the door like, girl, whatever, I'm over that, okay? Don't be like that this year. Set yourself up for success. We're doing this the day before the new year, so you can really start to think about how you can make your goals a little bit smarter so that coming into 2023, you can really walk in there and say, I'm ready for it, okay? So make sure that your goals are specific, okay? Don't pie in the sky. It's not a good thing. We don't just want to travel the world. We want to go to Egypt. Like, I really want to go to Egypt. Or measurable. How will you know when you reached your goal? I can say, hey, I want to make a difference, but how am I going to know I actually made a difference? Well, for me, that's when people like reach out to me and say, hey, Marcina, you really made a difference. That's a way that I can measure it, but that's a very subjective way. And that's not a way that is going to, I can't guarantee that anybody will ever tell me I made the difference, right? So, on me, I have to work on what I can control, and I can measure how it makes me feel when I interact with other people, when I put life into them, when I light them up. I can measure that for myself. So for me, that's a measurable goal. Or, how I did, hey, I'm going to set the, I'm going to do one post a day. That's the measure of this. It's one post a day. The specific nature of that was, I want to uplift and inspire people. Attainable, it's going to be a post on Facebook. And that's the big thing, attainability. You cannot be an astronaut and a football player, professional football player at the same time. You cannot be great in 2 areas at the same time. You can be great in 2 areas in your lifetime, but not at the same time. Okay. So if we're saying that this year my goal is to be an astronaut, then all of those football aspirations need to go over to the side, because we can't make greatness over here if we're trying to be great in 2 places at once, right? And then also, don't say you want to be an astronaut if you flunk chemistry, right? If you don't know how to do engineering, yeah, you can want to be an astronaut, but you're probably going to want to dial those goals back down to starting off with do better in science, or attain better grades in math, or get more proficient in math. Building those core skills, the attainable skills that you can actually work on and build right now, work on building those things, and so that you can slowly work your way up to the dream. The dream is the ultimate, right? Like that is the ultimate. But we don't live in the ultimate. We live in the every single day. So find things that you can add to your everyday life that are attainable, and you're going to have a much higher rate of success in achieving your goals. And then is it relevant to your life right now? I kind of touched on that with the football astronaut, right? Try to make sure your goals go in a sphere together, right? Like we live in a solar system. Every planet is different. Every planet has its own, compounds, makeups, things like that. But at the end of the day, they all go together, right? So kind of think of that as your goals. Can they be different, wide, varied? Of course they can. You don't have to, do not put yourself in a box. Your goals can be whatever you want them to be. But you want to make sure that they all work together, that they're all cohesive, because you don't want to be working over on here on something and that something drags down everything else because you went off target. Okay. So make sure that it's relevant, stay within your solar system. And then timely, put a date on it. Okay. So this right here, I told myself I was going to do this before the end of the year. I started doing this in June. I wasn't ready. And that's just what it is. I wasn't ready. And if you're not ready, don't push it. You know what I mean? But I did end up having to push my little time date back. But didn't mean I didn't have a time. It just means that I had to adapt or whatever. But you should always have a time, because it's going to give you the sense of urgency. You can say, hey, I want to write 50 books. Okay, great. How many books can you write in a year? Oh, you can write 3 books in a year? Okay, so your goal should be to write 3 books per year for the next 12 years, or however many years it takes you to get to 50 books. You know what I mean? Make it something that you can actually achieve. But again, keep in mind, bite size. We can build, we can get a passport, we can start researching, we can look up hotels, We can do, I don't know, look up cheap flights and stuff like that. And then eventually when you're ready, then you actually achieve your master goal, right? So we've got our master goal up here, and then everything else is just a bunch of little teeny tiny baby steps that like just kind of build on it to get you to your dreams. So we are almost done, y'all. I don't know who's still hanging out with me. If you're still here, you are winning right now because you are literally taking this time for you to download new information and to grow. And so, you know, if you're not used to celebrating yourself, I'm going to celebrate for you. Thank you. You know, thank you to yourself because you did that, right? Like you just learned new information. And if I didn't teach you anything that you already knew, that's fine. You just reinforced what you already knew, but you still took the time out for yourself. So tip number 5 is to make sure you celebrate your wins. This isn't a win that has any monetary or commodity value. This isn't a win that's going to like change your life. I mean, it could, it really could, you know, build upon it. But it's still a win, and you have to learn to recognize those little wins. So I want to leave you guys kind of with learn how to celebrate your wins. You know, notice your success. This right here, this is success. Being here, listening, engaging, trying to learn. That's success for today. That is you. Hey, I'm showing up to be my best self today. This is what my best self looks like today. Okay. And clap for yourself. Give gratitude for yourself. Thank yourself. Okay. We spend time saying thank you to everything else. Oh, thank you, Ma. Thank you, Dad. Oh, thank you, sweetie. I really appreciate you taking the trash out. You know, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank yourself. You know, really take time to thank you for doing all of the things for yourself that you have done, for getting up every single day, for putting one foot in front of the other, for never giving up, for never allowing a bad day to be that day. You know, you should really, really give gratitude for that. Give gratitude for the fact that you survived all of 2022 and all the days before that, right? Get excited. I get excited when I win. I don't care if it's a small win. Like if I win in a parking space or whatever, right? And like I'm excited. I'm excited. Why? Because a win is a win. Okay. I've been seeing that online and I am feeling that, right? A win is a win. Okay. So take your wins, how you can get them, because life is going to life's going to deal some losses. So take the wins and get excited about them. And then also learn to recognize them. Did you contribute in any way to your win? What did you do differently this time that allowed you to win versus the last time? A big part of the reason why you want to stop and celebrate your wins is so that you can analyze them, so you can replicate them, because nobody wants to just win the lottery one time, right? No, we want to like hit the mega million. And so celebrating your wins and taking the time to say, you know what, I did really good at that because I took the extra 20 minutes to prepare before I went to that meeting. You know, I'm going to recognize myself for that. I'm going to thank myself, you know, thank you, Marcina, for actually preparing for that. You know, I'm really appreciative. Yeah, we did that, you know, and recognize it. And then you go back out there and you just repeat and you rinse and repeat. But don't let anybody dull your sparkle, okay? You don't need anybody to celebrate with you. The only person that you need to be happy for you is you, okay? And I'm going to tell y'all again, when 2017, I was sleeping in my car, there was a lot of people out there that were happy for me. Oh, that was great, but they didn't know I was sleeping in my car. They had no fucking idea, you know? So like, who cares that they were happy for me? I had trapped myself in that happiness to the point where like I couldn't breathe and I was literally suffocating. So, you know, don't live by the words of other people. If you live by their words, you will die by their words. Instead, live by your words, your self-worth. What do you think? How do you think you did? I have people tell me all the time, oh, you did a great job, Marcia. That was amazing. And in my head, I'm like, you know what? I kind of missed the mark over here. Like, you know, I did great on that part. Yeah, you're right. Cool. But I missed the mark over here. And I allow myself to critique myself, even in my celebration, so that next time I can go out and be like, oh, you know what? I'm celebrating the fact that I didn't do that again, right? Like I didn't make the same mistake twice. You know, and that's part of celebrating your wins, is to really, really hone in. And that's how you get to the level of, you know, I want to do it, so I'm kind of doing it, to, oh my God, look at me, I'm crushing it. So, you know, whatever. So, all right. So here's a bonus tip. I told y'all I was going to give you 5. Here's tip number 6. And this is a Marcina Marie original because I had to learn this lesson the hard way twice in my life. So pace yourself. This is not a race. Okay. Well, I say it is a race because, I want to be like Paul. I want to finish my race, But the truth is, life is not a race. Okay. And it is much better to rest than to burn out. 2023 is going to give you a lot of opportunities. You're going to get 365 chances to go out there and get it. Some of those days, it's okay to just hit snooze. Okay. You don't have to show up every single day. I know that's what everybody tells you. I know that's what hustle culture wants you to believe. But the truth of it is you're going to get tired because we're humans and we get tired. So when you start to feel that, disengage, give yourself a break, create that space for yourself, renew your gratitude so that you can come back better and stronger and not be burnt out. Burnout can take years to recover from. I'm still trying to recover from my last one. So save yourself from it. So here's just a little quick recap slide. I'm not going to go through it. I'm going to go ahead and drop this little presentation here. So if you guys want it, free for you. And you could definitely print this or something like that and keep it up for yourself while you're going through your goals. So real quick, we went through today how to establish your vision, how to really dream big, what it means to actually set goals, like what do goals look like? And then over the next week or so, remember, because we talked about the creative process, we start with preparation, then we incubate, and then finally we illuminate, right? So we did the preparation, and now you're going to go and you're going to incubate. You're going to think about the ideas you had. I've got some worksheets for you guys. It's dropped in the link, I believe, to this live. So you should already be able to access it. I didn't create it, huge shout out to Footprints of Inspiration. I used that workbook about 1.5 years ago and it was amazing. So why recreate something if it works great? And it is a free resource she's offering. Her website's also amazing too. So if you're looking for somebody who has a fully established all of that you can do all of that, go check her out because it was very fulfilling for me. So go ahead and download that worksheet. You don't have to use that one. You can go on Etsy. You could buy magazines, whatever that works for you. I will say that, Etsy has a plethora of resources. Let me move this little tab over here for you guys. You can go into Etsy right here. You can do a dream worksheet and it is going to give you all kinds of workbooks that you can print out. Don't make it complicated. Do not make it complicated, okay? If you start to feel like it's a chore, that's not the play, all right? That's not what we're doing here. So just find something that sets you on fire and just start writing down until that fire starts to dwindle. And when it dwindles, that's fine. Pick it up the next day or whenever the inspiration comes back to you. But that's how you really get there. Don't force it. If you're not feeling it, don't force it, So you can use the workbook I gave you. You could buy one if you want to, whatever works. But just make sure you put your dreams down out on paper over the next week. Let me go ahead and minimize this. We're going to get back together next week at 2 p.m. same time. I hope you come. I really hope you come because that's going to be the best. I'm actually making my vision board with you guys, so you'll get to see my vision too. But yeah, gather your images. If you have to use magazines, use magazines. I am going to have, and I guess I'll get to that here in the next slide. But I strongly suggest personalizing your vision board, okay? Even if you don't have any art skills or anything like that, if you want an actual BMW, don't just print out a picture of a standard SUV. Put that BMW on your wall, okay? And put the exact one you want, all right? And it doesn't have to be a car, but that's just an example. So next week when we meet, you're going to need to have some supplies. This will be a participating event next week. Don't worry, you won't be on video unless you want to. I'll totally co-host with somebody if y'all are into that. So nobody's going to see your board. It's just for you. You guys will see my board, so you won't feel any pressure or anything, but you'll have that energy around you so that you can create your board in a nice, safe, positive space that'll truly help you, just get skyrocketed into your new year. So bring with you a display board, bring some scissors because we got to start cutting stuff up, some glue, inspiring words and quotes. I know this isn't everybody's thing. Some people are like, I don't want shit that's on a bumper sticker. Look, it might not be for you, but it's for somebody else. Okay. So get yourself those words that are for you. Okay. If you read that word and you're like, oh, that's my word. That's the word. Okay. That's the word. If you read it and you're like, I don't know, Leave that one at home. Okay. Don't bring that one to the live next week. All right. We are only going with the words and the motivations and the quotes that set us on fire. And bring photos of your goals. So you're going to go through, you're going to do those worksheets, and you're going to have goals at the end of them, like things you want to achieve. So like for me, one of the photos I'm going to have next week is a passport, right? Because I really need to get my passport. So that's a photo. It's a visual representation of my goal, and I'm going to pop that right up on my board. So, and then last things last, I feel like I gave you guys most of what you need in order to really get out there and get your goals going and to really start going from dreaming to doing. But if you need more, or if you just want to stay connected, hey, love ya. Like a long time. Join me over here at my group, 365 Chances, where every single day you get to pick how you want to live your life. And the group is going to be filled with a lot of just, inspirational quotes, guides, tools, workbooks, like all kinds of things, just to give you the tools you need. I can't do the work for you, but I can walk with you on the journey, and I can motivate you, and I can uplift you, and I can help you. And not just me, but we can build a whole community so that we can all really do it together. Because let me tell you right now, it's lonely at the top, okay? It is lonely. So I figured I'll bring a couple of y'all with me. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to celebrate alone. It's way better to party and to community together. So we are going to have one more event for this little event for the vision board workshop, but 365 Chances is going live every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. This coming up Wednesday, we are going to go over, picking out your pictures for your vision board, and how to make sure that you are actually creating those right goals. We're just going to kind of workshop that together in a much smaller group. I'm pretty sure this group's like 3 people, but whatever, it'll be one person. I don't know. So if you want to stay connected, the link to the group is in the description. I'd love to see you there. No pressure, no sales. This is not that kind of thing. I'm not trying to, had somebody earlier be like, oh, you can be an influencer. I'm not trying to be an influencer, okay? I'm trying to make a difference, all right? I'm trying to be the ripple, right? And in the words of Tupac, I'll leave y'all with this one. In the words of Tupac, I may not be the mind that sparks the change of the world, but if I can spark that mind, if I can be the one that inspires that person, then we can see and do amazing things. So Tupac's no longer with us. He can't carry that flame, but he sparked my mind. So now I'm sitting here hoping that I sparked you guys too, So I'm going to leave you with this last little thought. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. Absolutely nothing. Cost me nothing to do this, but some time. Be the light you want to see in the world. Don't wait for other people. Don't be like, oh, well, so-and-so. Who cares about so-and-so? All right. If you want to see light, you want to see kindness, goodness, love, happiness, joy, gratitude, whatever it is that you want to see, the only thing you have to do in order to see that is to be it. And in order to be it, you have to dream it. So go out there, dream big, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. I don't know how to turn this camera off though, but that was a goodbye.